And welcome back. Of course, we're still going through the big stories of the day as we get into the newspaper review proper. Now my panel is fully in place. We have Charles Omanga, Advocate of the High Court. Good morning.
Morning.
Karibu sana. Of course, the Bishop was just explaining something before it went into the break concerning the tithe, Mheshimiwa syndrome and the church and politics. Once again, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Jeff.
And of course, Joy Mdivo, welcome back again.
Asante.
Your permanent seat.
I'm telling you, I'm moving in.
Fantastic stuff. We're looking at the front page of The Standard right before we took the break. And there's a heading right there concerning Wairimu, free me to fight for my property. Even as we look at this particular story, very many people are looking for guidance from the courts in terms of what should we discuss, what should we not discuss from the order that came from the courts. So as far as this is concerned, even moving forward as far as the Fourth Estate is concerned, and I think it's an issue that the lawyers were asked as well. So as far as this case is concerned, what should we be talking about? What is out in public domain that can be discussed, Joy?
When a court issues a gag order, one of the things that they're trying to do is to stop the trial by public jury, for lack of a better word. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is what we have seen in the last few days, where you've got information or evidence that really should be adduced in court being played out in the public gallery. So for example, when the body of the deceased was being recovered, that is something that did not have to happen on live national TV. Mm-hmm. It didn't have to. We saw the rejoinder by the Defense Counsel, again, bouncing off the ideas that had been proposed by the prosecutors and then trying to offer alternative. Mm-hmm. And I was looking and thinking to myself, if you've got a defense, you better present it in court. That's why it's useful. Right. When it's on the record, when it can be adduced and told, you know what, I rely on this. Otherwise, you're not even sure whether the evidence is safe to rely on. Mm-hmm. But when I look at this case and what we're discussing the other day with the Linturi matter, we have come to a place where there are a nation that feeds off other people's pain. Mm-hmm. We actually enjoy other people's misery, and it's ridiculousness. I think as a nation, we also need to look at ourselves. What do we consume? What is newsworthy? Right. For the media, the fact that the court has issued a gag order, you are best placed, for example, to just deal with what is already in the public domain. Right. But investigative pieces, trying to look into live active cases, you can investigate them, but like we see in other jurisdictions, after the matter is heard and concluded, then now you can run your exclusive. But in Kenya, we still haven't found that balance. Right. The judge issued an order to gag the media. If I look at it, it's so wide-reaching, it's almost unenforceable, but you can see her frustration, because she's a person who lives in this society. Mm-hmm. She drives by newspapers. You people shove the people daily in her car when she's driving by. Uh-huh. She has to keep her mind free and clear. Uh-huh. But when it's everywhere in WhatsApp group, it's on everything, you find that the judges also get tainted by what is swirling around. Let me bring in Omanga on this as well, because some people say that, yes, even as a court gives this gag order, as far as the DCI and DPP is concerned, lots of these cases are usually tried in the court of public opinion and then taken to the actual courts. Should they also probably revise their MO when it comes to how they operate, the DCI and DPP, in terms of these cases?
I think they should, but more importantly, the media plays a critical role in the society in terms of giving people information out there. I think the gag order was to the extent of discussing the evidence and the processes and the stages of investigation. And more importantly, I think the gag order was not now that nobody should ever comment about this Wairimu and Tob Cohen's issue, but to the extent that you don't talk about who is having more evidence, who is having a stronger case, who is likely to win, who is the DCI investigating next, who have they arrested, you know. Right. But generally informing the public that today there was a mention of Wairimu's case, or the ruling is set for this date. Right. And basically, as Joy has put it, for that is already in the public domain, you can discuss to that extent. But I think it is only that our society has become a society where we gain on people's pain, and we get so much into private lives of people, and we try to dig even that information that is not really relevant for people who are not really concerned. So I think the judge, in her mind and in her wisdom, she thought that at least she needs focus in terms of, so that she should not be persuaded by what the media says, what politicians are commenting, what somebody thinks should be the way that case should go, and the manner in which the proceeding should be conducted. Right. So, but I think even when we are limiting what media should cover, I think we must strike a balance so that we also, the right of the public to be informed, because a murder is not now a private thing. Right. When a murder has occurred, now it is a crime that the society really need to understand, so that it helps us address these challenges. What is the cause? What has gone wrong in our so family fabrics and our social setting that actually can lead us to do, if at all, such kind of heinous crimes are committed.
Right, right. And yes, of course, it's something that we're keenly following, even as Justice Lesit, sits on that case, and we see how it will proceed, and what the media will be able to report as far as it's concerned. Let's move on to page 5 of the Standard. Counties to face more cash delay. County governments could remain in the doldrums for a longer while after National Assembly and Senate differed on the commencement date of the Division of Revenue Bill, should the President give assent to it. Now, of course, deeper into the story, according to Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo, who was also a member of the Mediation Committee, the National Assembly sneaked and inserted the date by, quote-unquote, handwriting in the new bill. I have Mheshimiwa here with us, Bishop Kamala. Are we going to get out of this woods? Because we thought at this particular point in time we had agreed on how to move forward and then go and see how we make sure the cow never gets into the hole again. It seems like, as far as this is concerned, we are still deep in the hole. County is still not getting their money. How do we move forward? Because once such allegations are made that people are sneaking things in handwriting in bills, is there goodwill between the two houses?
Jeff, we still have a problem. And that's why I've been saying that if we have an opportunity for a constitutional review, we have to look at these things holistically, whereby, we have to define roles of both the houses, the National Assembly and the Senate. Because as it is right now, it is the National Assembly that is the upper house. So there is that sibling rivalry that is going on. And, had they received the 316 billion, when it all was passed, and we would be over this thing. So this thing is just continuing because there is that push and shove and push and pull between the National Assembly and the Senate, and also then the arrogance in the Senate, whereby, they were not taking the money quickly, has also kind of prolonged the whole of this thing. Right. But, as we realize, people are suffering out there. There is no medicine in hospitals. Right. The roads are like where I come in Western Kenya, and with the heavy rains, all our roads have been washed away. So this thing is not very good for our country, and this thing can just be taken care of, once we have a constitutional amendment, whereby we are not really looking at positions. We are not talking about changing the law just to create positions, but we are looking at things that are really key and important to the common man. Let
me bring in Joy on this as well, because some people are wondering, did it take us, more than 7 years to realize, okay, wait, we don't know the roles of the Senate and the roles of the National Assembly? Should this have been seen way before? People are saying, like, this is a convenient argument for it to come up now, because you have been in the House, some of them have been re-elected as senators or MPs, and that didn't occur to them, that there's a duplicity of roles or overlapping of roles and should be sorted out the first time? No,
everybody knew about this before we even passed this constitution. I know for a fact because, like I said earlier, I campaigned no for this constitution. And one of the things we used to say clearly was the Senate was going to be an a lower house with an upper house name. And that did not make sense. Why are you giving people an opportunity to be an upper house, but you don't give them any upper house roles? Right. You keep them all in the National Assembly. And what we passed in our 2010 Constitution is we did away with one big man called Moi and one big supreme presidency, imperial presidency, and replaced it with a dictatorship by 349 people. So it's the National Assembly that calls all the shots in this country. And if they gang up against the rest of Kenyans, we are helpless. Unless, like Bishop says, we find a way of reconfiguring that arrangement so that the Senate becomes an upper house with actual oversight over the National Assembly. Right. Now, what you're asking is actually part of the reason why all these different referendum push have support. Because now that we've tried out the Constitution for 9 years, we've tried it out for size. When you walk a mile in a shoe, then you know where it pinches. And we've seen, by the way, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. Maybe if we get the opportunity, that is a place we should either reconfigure or scrap one off. Because what we are finding now, you look at, for example, what was happening in Kisumu. When health workers lay down their tools, the people who suffer is not the politicians who failed to pass the budget, it's the person in the ward who is waiting for services and cannot get service. In other counties, you have similar threats of, if this doesn't happen, we're going to go away. When you've got children who are waiting for the money for ECD, and it is not coming, and we're talking about competence-based learning. So we have to come to a place where our priorities are right. But something else I wish we would also revise is how budget systems affect processes. If there's an overlap of we pass it now, but it comes into effect maybe there's a 2-month lapse in how we use our money, because these days it's like come June everything shuts down, by July we're in crisis, in August now we give up. Even if those negotiations why? Because every tap is off. Maybe we also need to reconsider how we do. We pass a budget today, but we still have a budget for like 2 or 3 months to go while we are working out the rest of the kinks. Because some of these things become a crisis because of the time factor. We just simply run out of time. Charles,
let me bring you in this as well, Mr. Manga, because some people are saying, okay, fine, and as Joe has rightly put it, we are a country of over 40 million people held hostage by around 300 individuals. How do we change that? The nitty-gritties, because we've seen that, and they even said it themselves, so bold as to say that even with the Punguza Mzigo initiative, if it indeed goes to the House, they can sit on it for as long as they want, and there's no stipulation as to how long they can do that, and effectively we kill it. So the power still stops with them. How do we change that? Because Kenyans are feeling like these are the people who have all the cards, the entire deck.
I think the problem we have as a nation is that we don't really understand the role of leadership. And we do not really interrogate the ability of people to lead by way of ensuring that they really understand what they are going to do for the Kenyans if they get that opportunity. If we get people who knows that leadership is servanthood and it is a responsibility to serve rather than to rule, in that length, we will be able now to get people who really will put the interest of the people first before whatever they call it, whether they want to call it sibling rivalry. I think when we had the Senate, the mandate was very clear that the Senate, their key responsibility to ensure to protect the interests of the counties in terms of ensuring enough revenue is allocated. They do oversight role as regarding those monies that have been sent to the counties. They would also to be able to legislate to ensure that whatever is sent to the counties and the way the counties run their operations, they do not act in a vacuum, but they must have stringent and very effective legislations that would make them efficient in terms of service delivery. So going forward, I think what we need to do, if at all we would have a referendum. The only problem I have with that is that this entire process has been hijacked by politicians. So now it is not about what are the key things that Kenyans really think they should be amended the constitution, but now the politicians have managed to take over and to hijack and to make it appear that the referendum is about what they want to be done, but not what Kenyans want to be done for them. Therefore, I think the issue of National Assembly and the Senate, their roles are very clear. I do not know how it escaped us to the extent that we again had some riders in terms of Article 113 and 111, 109, that after Senate has passed a legislation concerning counties, in terms of revenue, in terms of legislation, in terms of oversight, then this bill must still go back to the National Assembly. Exactly. So I think if we have to correct something, if at all we don't disband the Senate or the National Assembly altogether, then let us see how best can we amend those articles to read that if Senate has passed a legislation that concerning counties in that regard, then the Senate decision is final. It should not be taken back to the National Assembly. And the problem we also did with the National Assembly, we got our young brothers, for lack of a better word, whose their work is only to go there for business. Sometimes you see when even a serious debate on a serious bill is being passed, then they are not, the assembly, the chamber is almost empty. But then you realize that certain things go, they pass some some people put some in miscellaneous amendments, even certain things that go into the rights and freedoms of people that should not be passed through a miscellaneous amendment. Right. So I think the problem is that those whom we are giving an opportunity, and I would wish to advise Kenyans, come 2022, or whichever election that can occur between this period, let us ensure that the person that we are giving an opportunity to go to represent us, to go to legislate, to go to do oversight, is someone that indeed we have understood, we know him or her, and what comes first is what he's really going to do for those who are going to elect him.
Mr. Manga, let's talk about that exactly, and that's a perfect segue to our next story. McDonald Mariga, now been cleared by the IEBC to vie so far. In terms of the people who we feel can actually go and carry out that mandate, as you rightly put it, where do you stand as far as Mariga is concerned? Representing the people of
where I stand is that I had anticipated, and I think I mentioned it in this bench the other week, that there was nothing that is stopping Mariga. And actually, I indeed said that the tribunal will clear Mariga, if at all they were to observe the law as it is and how it should be interpreted. One, you know, what people fail to understand, you can register as a voter anywhere in the country, and it is a continuous process. And it is not your responsibility to go and put your name and update the IEBC register. Right. It is the mandate of the registering officer to ensure that if you have presented all the relevant documentation, your national ID, you know, and they have really confirmed your age, you are above 18, you are a Kenyan citizen, then that is game short. You are supposed to be registered, and it is their responsibility to update. And the misconception was that only the electronic register is the register.
And actually, let's just pause on that particular point. We have the presser that was out yesterday when Mariga came out from the IEBC. Let's play that and then get back into this particular story so far, because it seems like he might be out of the woods, but probably not quite yet. Some other allegations coming up in terms of his age and ID. But let's take a look at that presser from yesterday.
Na sasa tunataka tuende Kibra, tuongee na wana Kibra, au ndo atadecide nani atakuwa kiongozi wao ama mbunge wao. Na au ndo atakuwa mabosses wangu, na najua mambo itaenda poa tarehe 7 Novemba. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki.
Thank you. Justice has been done for our brother Mariga. Na sisi tunaamini ya kwamba siasa hii sio yetu sisi wanasiasa, ni ya watu wa Kibra. Na ushindi utakaopatikana itakuwa ni ya watu wa Kibra. Na mtumishi ambaye watachagua kiongozi wao. Sisi tu kama chama ni kupatia support Mariga, lakini sisi sio yeye, na sisi sio ndio tunaomba kura. Yeye ndio muomba kura, na yeye ndio akichakuliwa atatumikia watu wa Kibra.
Ni furaha yangu kubwa sana kuwa hapa leo na kuwa witness wa a fair process, a fair decision by the IEBC. I want to request the competitors of McDonald Mariga to stop erecting imaginary obstacles in the way, to settle the matter, let the people of Kibra vote.
Of course, the press that was held yesterday upon the verdict of the IEBC. Bishop Kamal, let me bring you in on this, because I've seen your candidate over the weekend really campaigning, was going to different churches, different groups, just talking about what he was going to do. What's your take as far as the IEBC verdict is concerned?
You know, I am a member of the Amani National Congress of Musalia Mudavadi.
Yes.
And so
he was busy at work.
Yeah, very busy, and we are going to support him. Our candidate is Owalo.
Yes.
And so I don't think I'll come here and promote the candidature of somebody else from another political outfit.
Right.
But as I am concerned, just the way Wakili has said, it's very important for us to note that people have rights. And in terms of registration of voters, you know, when you are registered, it's not your duty to follow up that register to make sure that it has all the names. Right. Yours is to register as a voter. And mine is to wish Mariga well. You know, he's a young man.
Right.
And we need to also be thinking about young people of this country, and also thinking that, you know, they can be in leadership of this country.
Right.
But as far as I'm concerned, voters in this country have become very smart.
Right.
It is not easy to just bungle voters into an outfit or cause a euphoria. The way we used to say, kuna upepo, nitaenda na upepo. Voters have become very smart, and the people of Kibra are very smart. They know what they are looking for as a replacement of the late Honorable Courts. So, as I am concerned, I know the Kibra people will make the right decision because they know what they are looking for.
Okay, and as we wait for the Kibra people to decide, of course, come November the 7th, Joy, Mariga's candidature has even overshadowed the by-election in itself. And even as he gets the go-ahead from the IEBC, on the front page of the Daily Nation, a voter has questioned integrity of his ID card. This might now go to the courts as far as his candidature is concerned. When you look at it now, because he thought probably he might not be cleared by the IBC, now might go to court, will he really end up on the ballot at this particular date?
I knew he would be cleared. It's just, from the beginning, I thought that his candidature was a bit of a caricature. I did not think he was seriously. Okay, let me just put it this way. If you had that Joy was running in Kibra, you'd be like, oh, that woman who comments on political matters, it's about time she ran for office. Because you have seen Madoada of politics in my life.
Right.
Nobody saw this coming. Mariga one day was advertising for a local company. The next thing we knew, he's a candidate. And I was ready to dismiss him offhand as, you know what, is a gimmicky, you know, you're just running for nuisance sake. Because like I said before, this is ODM seat to lose. So, you know, you just put anyone to just run for the sake of it. But seeing the number of people that are coming out against his candidature, I'm wondering, okay, are they seeing him as a potential threat, that they're not sure that they can beat him at the ballot, that they would rather stop him from running? Because there's this voter looking at the ID card, there's another voter looking at his nomination, there's Africog that I hear is also in the mix. So I look and I wonder, is there something they know that we do not know? Have they maybe had overtures to hear maybe that he's a very, very strong candidate? I would have thought that Owalo was a very, very strong candidate.
Right.
Anyone getting an ODM nomination would be a formidable candidate because that is ODM's stronghold. But for us to get to a place where one candidate is being fought so hard, in terms of politics, this is excellent for him. He doesn't even have to campaign. He's in the news, front page, every single day. Who gets that? It is actually gold. I look at it and I'm thinking to myself, in all this, one of the things that is coming out is there's a need to also look at our laws afresh. For example, the one on nomination, he exploited a little loophole in the system because I cannot be registered in Kibra, but I can be registered anywhere else in the country. And once I'm registered, I'm duly registered. You know the difference with the Kedhi case is that Kedhi's card was actually not, it was a dud card. It ought not have been issued. His was actually a good card.
So should we seal those loopholes? Is that where you should go to now?
Like what I said last week, and I'll repeat it again, it doesn't just start with the IEBC, it starts with the political party itself. Who are the candidates that you're bringing to the table? If you give us the best of the worst, so we are picking from the bottom of the barrel, then the electorate really has no choice. The IEBC really has no choice. Political parties also need to start looking at the stature of the leaders that they're nominating, that they're giving their certificates to, so that the voters actually have a voice. But if we are very laissez-faire in this activity, at the end of the day, what you have to pick from is the best of the worst. And I'm not saying that these candidates are the worst. I'm just saying those processes being made more rigorous helps us get the better quality leaders, which also leads in turn to when they go to parliament having better quality representation, because we've got leaders of higher aptitude, better integrity, and hopefully people who've got a heart for people, because that's what we lack right now.
Omango, and look at the strength of the case that might be put forward if indeed this voter does take it to court in terms of Chapter 6, integrity. We don't know which age we are using right here. In terms of the strength of the case, will it hold from
wait, before Charles even comments, you know, all he needs to prove is that he's above 18, eh?
That's all.
The rest of it
the matter of
is
2
semantics.
IDs doesn't come in that you had you
that one now is somebody else who's supposed to deal with. But anyway, what a voter
because that's something Halwale actually brought up as well. Said he's 18, he can vote. He's 21, he can vie. So he don't care about his age. But if they actually take this to the court, what are the chances of it going through?
I think it is the only sad thing is that Kenyans has become extremely litigious, and then we think that going to court and challenging everything is a plus on our side as a citizenry. But more importantly, I think the qualifications to run as a member of parliament There is nothing that if you possess 2 IDs, then you are disqualified. You must be either of unsound mind, and is just bankrupt, must have committed a serious offense that attracts more than a 6-month sentence in the last 5 preceding years. Those are the disqualification.
Exactly.
But there is nothing in law, in the Constitution, in the Elections Act, in the IEBC Act that says if you have 2 IDs, or you are here when you sat for your KCAC, actually you don't even need a Kenya certificate or secondary certificate to run for an MP. For now, anyone, so long as you are above 18, you are 21, and you are a Kenyan citizen, you are allowed to run. And more importantly, Marega should not even have been registered as a voter to vote in Kibra. Actually, maybe he might not even vote for himself. But so long as he's a registered voter. Remember, Edwin Sifuna was registered in Kandui and came back after losing Kandui's seat and ran in Nairobi for senatorial seat. And they were the people who were making the loudest noise how someone is registered in Kariako, Social Hall, and now want to run in Kibra. He was even forgetting that he ran in Kandui and again sneaked his way back and people voted for him and he did not even vote for himself in Nairobi. Therefore, I think the most important thing is that even if you hate someone, at least say the truth about them. That is what will take us forward as a country. But as regarding the matter whether 2 IDs, that one is not a qualification. They can look and deal with it in another forum, but it wouldn't affect Mariga's candidature. They can go reporting with their police station, but the time even to investigate and even authenticate is another process altogether that might not end before the November 7th. So what we need to do as a country, let candidates and let the voters in Kibra choose who is best to them. Ours is only to guide and to tell them, okay, this is the position of the law. And even in adopting such interpretation, we must always ensure interpretation that you want to get from what a provision in the Constitution or any legislation talks about, then it must be that promotes the rule of law, equality, and freedom and justice, you know, so that whatever we are doing is promoting the principle and the values and what the Constitution envisages. Another
angle in this particular story, Mr. Omang, and you can briefly comment as we go down the table, is also the narrative that's been put in play that it's not the entire party that's behind Mariga and that it's one faction that's for him within the same political party that he represents, Jubilee, and another that is not for his candidature. That's what the Star is going with on the front page. Kenyatta to skip Mariga's Kibra Jubilee campaign.
That is sensationalizing certain issues. You know, we do not know. The president has not come out, or the State House spokesperson, spokeswoman, Madam Kanze, has not come out to tell us the president will skip. Those are speculations. And those are kind of things that we really need to criticize for in terms of responsible journalism and even the media ethics. Because when you are telling Kenyans that so-and-so to skip, you've not contacted, we've not gotten comment from the presidency, we've not gotten comment from the State House for that matter. And therefore, in any political party, you do not really think that everybody will have to agree with you and to support your candidature. And from the onset, we saw so many headlines, Ruto is pushing the candidature of Marega, or DP Ruto is behind his candidature. And these are politics. And they are the things that make our society and our politics a bit interactive. So let such headlines continue running. But until such a time that we will get an official communication that there is a grand rally, the grand finale, when the aspirants will be meeting the electorate for the last minute, and then the party leader. And sometimes it doesn't matter that the party leader must come. If the party leader has deputies, their party chairman, their party secretary general, and you saw Honorable Raphael Tuju presenting this certificate, and he has always been there with the Jubilee Party candidate. Mariga is a Jubilee Party candidate. And even within Jubilee itself, there are those people who will have differences. I want Omanga, I want Joy Brenda Mdivo, I want Bishop Shamala. But
so
that one
a sensational headline. This one.
But that is a sensational headline. When did the president told us that they will not attend, the president will not and if you see DP in Kibra, that is the presidency.
Bishop,
they are twins that are conjoined.
Because not only are you ANC, but also you're a politician. And you look at how the dynamics of this particular candidate in this area is playing out. Is this playing out to Mariga's advantage? In the sense that every single day we are talking about this party not wanting him, this other party not wanting him. Is he valid? Is he not? Is this playing to his benefit at the end of the day?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, yes. Because, you know, in politics, every news whether negative or positive, is good. If you are making news, whether in the negative way or in the positive way, that is very good for you because it's putting your name somewhere.
Right.
So Mariga was little known. We just knew him as a football player. But now he has made headlines every day on TV, in the papers, until now everybody in Kibra knows who Mariga is. So as far as I'm concerned, and I told you, I'm a member of ANC, and I'm not here to root for the candidate of somebody else. But you know what happens in the media, you know, sometimes you propel somebody to a place where he doesn't deserve to be. Because, you know, I'm saying, like, now, what has Mariga done in this country?
Right.
What does he stand for? Who is Mariga? And I cannot come against him. I'm a lawyer. He's a lawyer. So I have nothing against him. But I'm just speaking from, you know, just to think, he has made so much money. What has he done in Kibra? I don't know what he has done. He may be doing some things in the community, which I don't know. But even if he has not done anything, the fact that you gave him the headlines, now everybody knows who Mariga is.
Right.
Because, you know, in politics, you have to make yourself a brand.
Right.
And it's,
So that's what's
costly.
happening now.
It's very costly to become a brand, Jeff, because what you need to do, you have to go to every funeral, you have to go to every arambe, you have to go to every church, you have to be in every chama chawamama to make yourself a brand, and it can take like 4 years. Now, Mariga has been accepted for this. Yeah, he doesn't have to go through branding.
Right.
He's already, you have already branded him.
Right, right. Let's talk about that as well. Because you actually twisted that particular argument in the sense that every single day there's a story about Mariga.
Yeah,
there's a
page.
hashtag about Mariga online. Is this the best thing that could have happened to him? The more we talk about it and the more people push against him, is how he might end up being probably the MP of Kibra.
But the bishop said it, no publicity is bad publicity.
For a politician.
For a politician, there's nothing that is bad publicity. And for him especially, because we have had very little of him as a politician, that's what I was saying. When you see somebody has been afflicted, you know, Kenyans love a good fight. They love an underdog.
Yeah.
If you underrate somebody, then they're like, okay, let's see, maybe there's something there. I was on another TV station and it was a call-in show. And I was surprised by the number of people who called the time when he had been barred from running. People who called and said, give the young man a chance. Let's see, even if he's number 5, let him just put his wrong. And I was very surprised by that angle because I thought, oh, for Kenyans, the process should be more important.
Yeah. Right.
So in doing that, they've actually made people think, you know what, this might be a guy, you know, we are betting nation. Maybe this one we can put Miambili there. Something may just come out of it.
Jeff, let me just tell you, Joy, you know, every news for a politician is a plus, whether negative or positive. For example, if they say MP busted in somebody's house,
Bas.
now when you go home, you tell the people, I think you saw me in the newspaper.
Right.
I was really beaten by people. And then the people say, yes, 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 you are the man. Like I was talking to Mheshimiwa Raphael Wanjala, MP for Budalangi. And I said, you know, you had all this trouble in India. He said, you know, when he went home, he was a hero. They said, our man is back. You know? So what do you think? I will write this about this politician to bring him down. That is the same news that everybody, like for example, if Pastor Nganga showed up in my town, na hiyo ulikuja na matuta and those things, everybody will come out to see. Let's go and see Pastor Nganga.
Okay. Yeah. And as you can hear, just unveiling what happens behind the political curtain from Bishop Kamala right there, of course, and what happens even as the headlines are put in place and the effects after that. We're going to take a short break right now, but when we come back after the break, we're now opening our phone lines because this is an issue that we need to discuss and discuss in depth because there's a video that went around on social media of a student from Consolata. Of course, the student has since come out and apologized, but the question is really, who should be apologizing at this particular point? Because some people feel like it's a society that should be apologizing to this boy and these children at large for not playing their role, for it to get to this particular point.